Aloha and welcome to Action Island. I am Gilles Gallant. I'm joined by Nick Giffen, Derek Carty, and Kyle Murray, and we are going to wrap up Week 9 in the NFL with a Monday Night Football banger. To quote Grant Niefer here, Arizona Cardinals facing the Dallas Cowboys. And what we're going to do is we are going to build a four-leg same-game parlay for this matchup. So the four of us, we each got two favorite bets for tonight's game. We're going to take a vote on those picks, and we're going to decide which parlay leg is going to stay and which one goes. By the end of the show, we'll have a four-leg same-game parlay for Monday Night Football. And as always, as we give out these picks, we're going to have quick slip links dropped in the YouTube chat. So if you want to tail any of these bets, this will take you directly to the sportsbook and you can get the best lines and the best odds. So, Kyle, you are up first. What are your two favorite bets for Monday Night Football?
Yeah, pick number one comes with a little bit of drama here as the market's been moving quite a bit on Jaden Blue and his rushing yards. First found this and tried this in the app at 11 and a half. Some books came down to 8.5 on this number for Jaden Blue after the Cowboys officially called up Malik Davis from the practice squad. That was the case last week as well, where we saw Malik Davis play 4 snaps compared to Blue's 14 snaps. Blue did have that fumble, which led to some potential controversial quotes from Schottenheimer in the press conference room. But for me personally, we're looking at what we've seen Blue put up here over the last few weeks, especially since the Miles Sanders injury. 7.5 carries over the last 2 games. 29 rushing yards in back-to-back games. While we don't have a huge sample on a yards per carry analysis for Jaden Blue, he profiles as a pretty explosive player dating back to his college days. We project him for 5.5 carries and 21 rushing yards in our RotoGrinders model. Those numbers are probably going to come down a little bit with the addition of Malik Davis officially into the projections there. But again, even if he just gets 2 or 3 carries, I like him to go over this number. And this could also be a spot where it's just a little bit of overreaction in the market from those quotes. We talked about this before we went live, but this line's been sitting there at 11 and a half, 12 and a half on some books, and Schottenheimer made those quotes, a few days ago. So I think that the reaction to Malik Davis officially being called up is causing some, decrease in this line. I think it might be a little bit of an overreaction. Happy to continue to back Jaden Blue at 11 and a half yards here.
I mean, and it could be a good buy low spot anyway if the line is going down, because like you said, that coach speak, like that was earlier in the week. If the
Yeah.
market was going to react to that, it would have done it already, not, an hour before or a couple hours before kickoff, right? So the fact that right now I'm seeing 8.5 right now for Jaden Blue. That's the first leg, or at least the first pick that you like for this parlay. What's the second pick?
Yeah, second pick, gonna go with some juice here. I think this is the juiciest pick I've brought to Action Island, and I'm going Jacoby Brissett, anytime touchdown scorer, plus 550,
All
plus
right.
500 depending on where you're looking. But the way I see it for Brissett is I think there's some value here considering some question marks around what's going on in the quarterback room for Arizona. But Brissett's been named the starter. Kyler Murray is progressing from that injury, and he could have some packages. I'm not really buying that. I don't see why Arizona would have a healthy enough Kyler to be in there on some plays, but not be their starter here. So I'm not expecting to see much, if any, of Kyler Murray tonight. And I think that benefits Brissett not only around the goal line, because I think that's where those packages would come into play if Kyler was going to be active. But when I think of Brissett, I think back to the Indianapolis days when he was that OG tush push player who, we saw him getting plenty of, interesting stats around his production on those quarterback sneaks. So if we get him around the 1 or 2 yard line, we could easily see some of that here for Jacoby Brissett. But he also has not been afraid to tuck it and run over his last couple starts. 6 rush attempts last week, 3 in his first start a couple weeks ago for Arizona. So yeah, not afraid to scramble and make some plays. So we could potentially see him, out of improv, I suppose, make some plays there. But mainly that tush push is what I'm looking for here at 5-1 anytime touchdown scorer.
Look at you, Kyle. Again, last week you didn't mention Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce
Yeah,
the
yeah.
entire time. Now you're bringing a touchdown prop with 5-1 odds or better. Like again, I say these changes are for the better. So I'm just going to say right now that that's some good choices here. So guys, we got to take a vote. Derek, Nick, we're going to take Jaden Blue over on his rushing yard prop. It's around 8.5 right now, or we're going to get real spicy and take Jacoby Brissett for an anytime touchdown. So let's vote. All right, this one was tough, but I'm going to stick with the Jaden Blue pick. That's where I went. My boy Blue. All right, Blue. Oh, Derek went with Brissett. Brissett, are you showing a little bit of value on that one, Derek?
Yeah, I'm showing a little bit of value on that in my projections, and also the coach speak does have me worried about Blue. He kind of brought up
Mm,
Malik Davis out of nowhere, said that he could
yeah.
be competing for the backup job. So that has me concerned for how much of Blue we're actually going to see tonight.
Yeah, but I guess that's what I would say. There's not really a lot of pushback on that. I'm just very curious to see how that backfield shapes up. I do think the line just is a smidge low where he could still even pull that off on one rush. But again, percent
Definitely
anytime
could.
touchdown. We got quick slip links in the YouTube chat. If you want to tail either of those bets from Kyle, grab those links right now and you can go directly to the sports book and bet that. But the first leg of the parlay. We are going to take Jaden Blue for his rushing yard prop. It's right now around 8.5. So that is the first leg of the same game parlay. Now, Derek, it is your turn. You have two props that you like for this game. What are you looking at?
First one that I'm looking at is Cavante Turpin under 1.5 receptions, plus 125 at Bet365 is the best line on the board right now, but you can find it at plus money at pretty much every book. The Blitz is projecting a 58% chance that Turpin goes under here. He's kind of just a gadget player at this point. He's got like a niche role in the offense. The wide receiver room's become really crowded. CD Lamb is healthy again. Ryan Flournoy's come along where he's getting legitimate snaps now. There's really five receivers getting legitimate snaps for this team. And that's before we consider the chance that Jonathan Mingo is going to be active and cut into some snaps. He wasn't last week. He's perhaps not very good, but this is still one, even with him projected out, I have this projected as a pretty solid value.
Yeah, and I mean not just wide receivers too. I mean Ferguson is obviously going to get some
Right.
targets as well. Schoonmaker has started to see his snap rate jump up, maybe get a couple more targets as well. So Cavante Turpin, like you said, I think he's more relied in the kick return and punt return game. So that gadget aspect of it makes it difficult to want to take it over on either receiving yards or receptions. So that is the first pick from Derek. Cavante Turpin under 1.5 receptions at plus odds. What's the next pick?
The next one I'm going with is Jacoby Brissett over half of an interception. The lines have been moving quickly on this one since it came out. Best line right now is minus 102 at FanDuel. The Blitz is projecting an 82% chance that he throws a pick, so anything near even money. This is showing just massive value right now. The Cardinals have been the sixth most pass heavy offense in a neutral context this year, so expecting plenty of passing here, especially in a game where they are underdogs, expected to be trailing, expected to be throwing a bit more in the second half. And I think a lot of this price really just comes down to the perception of Dallas's defense being really bad, which
Mhm.
sure has been true, but it seems like that is way too heavily accounted for in the price here. So I like the Brissett to throw an interception play.
For sure. And the one thing to Dallas's credit, I guess, is they are getting a little bit of pressure rate per drop back. At least it has started to ramp up over the last few weeks. So that could maybe give Brissett a little bit of fits here. So, all right, guys, we got to take a vote. Are we going to take Cavante Turpin under 1.5 receptions, or are we going to take Jacoby Brissett to throw an interception? So let's take a vote. All right, guys, that 82% of throwing a pick is really intriguing for Jacoby Brissett, but I'm going to take Cavante Turpin under 1.5 receptions. Okay, it is okay. I wasn't by myself. I thought maybe I was on my own island, thinking that here with Cavante Turpin. So Cavante Turpin under 1.5 receptions. That's going to be paired with Jaden Blue over 8.5 rushing yards. That is the first two legs of the same game parlay. Now, Nick is up next, but before we get to Nick, if you want access to all of Action Pro projections, make sure to sign up for an annual subscription to Action Pro. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and all the members of the Action Analytics team, along with the anytime touchdown projections, which absolutely crushed it on Sunday. You'll get access to the best spread, money line, and total bets, along with real ticket and money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today. Use code ISLAND20 at sign up. One more time, that's Island20 at sign up for $20 off. Nick, the master of the luck rankings. We had a great luck ranking segment yesterday where 2-1, I felt like we were this close to getting to 3-0. Is tonight's game, does it qualify at all as a luck game?
Nope, no luck here.
Okay. One word is all we needed. Nope.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to pull it up now just to see how far off we are. Yeah, not close on a side and not close on a total. It would be like slight lean on the under, if anything.
Okay. All right. Well, then, luck rankings aside, what is the first pick that you like?
I am going to go with Zonovan Bam Knight for an anytime touchdown at plus 140. It's been fluctuating between plus 150, plus 140. But I just like that we're getting Arizona's main running back at plus 140 on a team with a team total around 26 points. Bam, he leads Michael Carter in red zone rushing attempts 7-4. He leads attempts inside the 10, 6-1, which is really huge, and 2-1 inside the 5. And if you look at our Action Pro projections, when it was plus 150, that was a 2.9% edge. So we actually have this closer to around plus 130, a little over plus 130 as fair value. You can score on the Cowboys, right? I mean, this is a high
Yep.
total game, and we're getting the RB1 at plus 140. I like this.
Well, I think a lot of the time too, when you think of the Cowboys, you just think of how poor the pass defense is. But don't forget they've allowed a ton of rushing touchdowns this year too. So
Mhm.
Bam Knight around plus 140. Love that pick here. What's your second pick?
Yeah, well, it's not a luck game, but I still like Arizona plus 3.5. Every Arizona game this season has ended within 7 points, a one-score game. Yet they're 2-5, right? So the perception of them is probably a little low just because of their record, and that's kind of how our luck rankings work, right? Like people and bettors, they look a lot at the record, and that's why our luck rankings have been so successful. So while this isn't a luck side, our schedule adjusted expected scores still like this, which does power our luck rankings. And it's quite possible Jacoby Brissett is an upgrade. In the two games Arizona had with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, they lost by 4 points in each game. But that was to Green Bay and Indianapolis, who are two of the top 6 or 8, 10 teams in the league. They're both top 6 in terms of offensive DVOA, top 10 in defensive DVOA, and top 7 in overall DVOA. So, the fact that Arizona played them to within 4 points each is really good. And actually, they were a little bit unlucky in both games. Our expected scores had them losing by about 2 points per game in those games. So, like I said, the schedule adjusted expected scores have this as nearly a coin flip at a neutral site. Now, we're not a neutral site, but let me get there. And that's including all the Kyler Murray games where Arizona has been 4.5 almost points worse per game in actual scoring and 7 points per game worse in expected scoring. So, might be over including some of the potentially worse results. And after adjusting for injuries and also home field advantage, the main injury over the course of the season to either of these two teams being CeeDee Lamb, I still can't get to 3.5. And then just one other final note, just to show how much better Jacoby Brissett has been than Kyler Murray. In his two games, Arizona has 11 explosive pass plays versus 5 games with Kyler Murray, 8.
I'm just gonna say this, like when we think of like what Kyle's picks were, or even yours now, a lot of Kyler Murray slander in this segment, or not just. And I find it hilarious because again, Jacoby Brissett has just been kind of like an afterthought, perennial backup kind of thing, and now. We've got like a little mini quarterback controversy going on in Arizona because he could actually see over the line of scrimmage. All right. So now we got to take a vote here. Kyle, Derek, are we going to vote for Bam Knight for an anytime touchdown, or are we going to take the Cardinals to continue to keep games close and take the plus 3.5? So let's take a vote. All right. Well, I'm going to vote for Bam anytime touchdown because that was actually one of my best bets for this, and Nick beat me to the punch and got it. So good for him. All right. Oh, so you did take the card. All right, Kyle. I'll ask you then before we get to my picks quickly. What did you think of the choices here between Bam and taking Cardinals plus 3.5?
Yeah, I like Bam. I mean, like Dick mentioned, when you can get a starting running back for a team with a 26 implied team total to score, I think you can't really, bat an eye at that. I think it was mainly just because I brought the Brissett touchdown play to the table as well. And I like Arizona quite a bit here. I think they're live dogs in this spot. I'm never too confident in that Dallas defense, and I actually like the Cardinals defense quite a bit. So yeah, I do like the Cardinals quite a bit tonight.
All right. So, Zonovan Knight or Bam Knight, depending on what you call him, he is the third leg of this same game parlay, around plus 130, plus 140. If you want to tail either of those bets from Nick, quick slip links have dropped in the YouTube chat. All right. I've got two picks. One is a touchdown prop, another one is a rushing yards prop. First pick from me, I'm going with George Pickens. I feel like I'm channeling my inner Grant Niefer here, or a Pete Alonso kind of thing, where you just keep taking the same guy. And again, I know he's been in a bit of a touchdown drought with CeeDee Lamb back, but still very heavily involved in the passing game. Over the last two games with Lamb back, 15 targets, two end zone targets. That's pretty much nearly identical numbers to Lamb in that spot. He's also still one of the best deep threats in the NFL. Dak Prescott leads the NFL in deep targets. So 14 end zone targets. I just can't ignore that. I fully expect Dak Prescott to try to find him again in week 9. So I like George Pickens for an anytime touchdown. Now, speaking of Dak Prescott, I know that generally on our content, especially with Sean Kerner, there's a lot of Mall Santa narrative about him, but I still think that he can go over his rushing yard prop tonight. And it is right now around 6.5. So that is the bet that I like. He's done it in 3 of the last 4 games. I think he could do it likely in 1 carry because right now he hasn't scrambled a lot, but when he does scramble, he's averaging just under 7 yards per scramble. So I really like the idea of him having 2, maybe even 3 rushing attempts in this game. I think as well, the Cardinals are going to be playing the Cowboys for the pass a lot, given the success that they've had this year. So that should open up more running lanes for Dak if receivers are covered. And then I also just think the likelihood of the Cowboys getting this huge lead and just not passing or not trying to score anymore, I think that's just way overblown. The Cowboys, that's not how their team plays. And again, we talked about it with the Cardinals plus 3.5. We do all kind of feel good about the Cardinals potentially keeping it close, even though we did vote for the Bam Knight touchdown. But those are the 2 picks that I'm bringing to the table today, guys. It's either George Pickens for an anytime touchdown, or we're going to take Dak Prescott over 6.5 rushing yards. So, guys, you got to vote. All right, are we putting another touchdown prop on this with Pickens, or are we going to take Dak Prescott to go over 6.5 rushing yards? Dak, Pickens, Dak. Wow. Okay, Dak, Mall Santa it is. All right, Nick, is it just as simple as being a Mall Santa, why we went with Pickens instead, or what was the choice, or what was basically the reasoning with voting for Pickens instead of Dak?
Well, Arizona's been kind of good against the quarterback this year, and in terms of rushing, and they've faced some mobile quarterbacks, throughout the season. So,
Mhm.
and then there's also, like you said, the Mall Santa aspect of that, but also Arizona, just in terms of pressure rate, generates slightly less than league average pressure rate over expectation. I shouldn't even say slightly less. They're 25th in pressure rate over expectation. So potentially just a little bit less pressure for Dak. So, you could see an even lower scramble rate. And funny enough, Dak has actually been scrambling over the past 3 years at a pretty decent clip. Around 51% of his total rushing attempts have come from scrambles, but I'm probably bumping that down to around 40% tonight, just given the lack of pressure over expectation versus Arizona. They're great in coverage, so maybe he gets a coverage scramble just because nobody's open, so that could help. But I have Dak for, like you said, around 1 scramble, but Arizona's also been really good against running backs in general this year. I mean, sorry, running against quarterbacks this year, despite the fact that they faced some good running quarterbacks.
And I think the line is incorporating that too, right? There's a reason why it's at 6.5, despite him going over this in 3 of the last 4 games, right? So I think they take that into account. But either way, that is the final leg of the same game parlay. So let's recap this now. We are on Jaden Blue over 8.5 rushing yards. Cavante Turpin under 1.5 receptions. We have Zonovan Bam Knight for an anytime touchdown. And we're going to round that out with Dak going over his rushing yards prop at 6.5. That parlay comes out to around 17-1 at DraftKings, just under 15-1 at FanDuel. So shop around a little bit, but most of these props are going to be available at any sports book to be able to be parlayed as well. All right. All right. Before we get out of here, I guess let's just have a quick little one word, maybe one sentence. What do you think of this parlay? Nick, what do you think of this parlay? One sentence.
Uh, Win. That's what I think.
Kyle,
Win.
what do you think?
Love.
All right. One sentence,
One
one word. Derek, you're up. Last one.
Better not see Malik Davis.
Yeah. That's a good
That was
one.
more than
All
one word.
right. All right. Well done, Derek. Thank you for wrapping that up. All right. That is all for us. Thank you for watching Action Island for Monday Night Football. We'll be back here on the island, though, to kick off week 10 with the Las Vegas Raiders and Denver Broncos for Thursday Night Football. So, on behalf of Nick Giffen, Derek Carty, Kyle Murray, I'm Gilles Gallant. Aloha and bon chance.